How's it going, guys? My name is Zach with the movie Castle, and today we're going to be talking about Nailbiter Volume 1, There Will Be Blood. This is from Image Comics and was written by Joshua Williamson with art by Mike Henderson. And overall, this book was a really good surprise, and I was really just hooked while reading it. When I first saw the book, it's called Nailbiter, the main serial killer in this book. He kills people and then chews on their nails, and the cover for the first issue was pretty graphic, going in and chewing those nails pretty hard. And this is one of those that when I first saw the book out, I was like, this is some edgy indie comic, whatever. But as the years went by and you kept seeing it around, you knew that there was something more behind it, and this trade is relatively easy to find now, so I thought, hey, let's pick it up and let's see what's actually going on here. And this is a really interesting story. Non-spoilery plot synopsis is you get this guy who's a interrogator for the government, and his best friend goes missing in this small town. So he has to go and try to find him. But the thing is, this isn't any ordinary small town. I mean, it looks that way. It's nothing remarkable. But people have quite recently found that 16 prevalent serial killers were all born in this one town. Now, why is that? That's what his friend was trying to find out before he went missing. Now, that's an interesting story, but to top it all off, the most recent killer, the one that turned the town into sort of a spotlight, he just got out of prison. You see, he went through his trial, and the jury found him innocent. A lot of people really believe that he definitely killed people, and he's just out and about, a serial killer. Everybody knows it, but he's just living his life now. And everybody's wondering, did he have something to do with that disappearance? And it really kind of becomes like a comic booky Silence of the Lambs, but with multiple Buffalo Bills. And it's really cool. And like I said, comic booky, so it's got a little more action, a little more insanity, and I just love that basic idea. 16 serial killers all born in the same place. Why? Is it something in the water? We don't know, and it's something we really want to find out, and there's interesting little bits of this mystery as the issue goes on. And I do like, too, it wasn't just all at once. This has been happening for a few generations now, so in turn the killers are spread out throughout the past few decades, and a lot of them are dead. So it's finding out about history and finding out about all these different killers. And some of them are really interesting, some of them are a little bit silly, and I do like that, sort of scope, One of the killers was bullied because he never learned how to read, so he locked people in libraries and burned them down. That's a really cool, old-timey historical story. And then you get newer ones, like, one of the sillier ones is a guy would hide in movie theaters, and if you talked during the movie, he'd kill you. Yeah, that's a little bit more of a jokey one, and there is a range, One that I thought was pretty cool is this killer, when it was the year 2000, tried to kill as many people on New Year's Day as he could before the ball dropped, and then at the stroke of midnight, he killed himself. And plus he has this cool costume that looks a little bit like the Scream costume. So I do like the range of different types of killers, varying level of seriousness, varying time periods, and I do think that's really cool. And it's one of those where they don't just spell out all 16 right at the beginning, and every now and then we hear about a new killer, and it just adds a little bit to the history, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And plus, you start to wonder how many of these are truly dead, when the book burner, one of the first ones, I think the first one, supposed to have been dead for dozens of years, and yet one of the buildings burns down. Is he back? And that's just a really interesting concept. What's going on in this small town? Why are there all these killers? What's happening now? And there's just a lot to really like with this book, and it, gives out little pieces of the plot, little twists and turns, and overall I was just really, really hooked with this one, and I've already picked up Volume 2, and I'll definitely try to be reading it pretty soon, because yeah, this is one that I wanted to read as fast as I could. I just really fell into it and really did like it. And I would definitely recommend it, horror comics fans, if you like slashers, if you like the idea of a bunch of characters all with their own crazy MOs. Like I said, Silence of the Lambs, but comic booky with multiple Buffalo Bills. That's pretty interesting. And yeah, comic booky, not afraid to make a joke, even at times making Silence of the Lamb jokes, which I thought was pretty funny as well. So overall, definitely recommend this book. Now, if you guys want to see a little bit more of the story and the art, I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but if you want a closer look at this release, I'm going to switch to the close-up camera, and we can take a closer look at Nailbiter Volume 1. So without further ado, switching to the close-up camera. Alright, here we are inside the castle, taking a closer look at Nailbiter Volume 1. Let's take it closer to the camera, and we can see this nice stripe design that I believe all the graphic novels in this series have. And we see the hand going into the mouth at the bottom, just ready to bite the nails. And you can see the subtitle for this volume, There Will Be Blood. On the side, we get the nice red color. The color will change for each volume. The image logo. And on the back, we get all these quotes about Nailbiter and a nice action splash taken from various panels of the comic, although they don't go together in that particular way in the book. We do get to see action scenes with all three of our main characters. At the bottom, rated M for mature, the image logo again, but also this really nice price of only $9.99. Every now and then Image does that for Volume 1s. They make Volume 1 a little cheaper to make new series more accessible to people. This is 5 issues, so yeah, I think 5 is a good length. But like I said, indie comics are kind of debating how many issues to do. Some do as few as 4. I think 5 is a good compromise. 5 for $9.99, that's a pretty good price. And a bit of a plot synopsis here. The writer worked on Ghosted before, and the artist did Venom and TMNT, and they described this as Twin Peaks with the horror of 7. Which I can kind of see, because this is a wacky town. I would definitely find a way to mention Silence of the Lambs in there, though, because it's something that definitely is referenced, and they even make jokes about it. But anyway, let's crack this book open. We get the credits there. Joshua Williamson, Mike Henderson, created by both of those two. And if we flip it open after that, this is where you can see that it collects 1 through 5 and all these tiny credits. And there's the issue 1 cover. Yeah, you know how I said I first saw this comic and I thought, oh, this is just an edgy indie comic? Boy, is that... It's just hard to look at, man. And don't get me wrong, I don't mind gore, but I don't know, nails is one of those things, man. But anyway, after this, let's go ahead and take a look at the story. I'm not going to be doing any major spoilers, but I do want you guys to have a basic idea as to what this volume's about. So I'll go in, I'll show you some of the story, I'll show you some of the art, but I'll try to be avoiding some of the big twist. And this book has lots of twists and turns, so I may be a little vaguer than normal. But anyway, let's hop in and take a look at the opening first. We open up, I do like they do the black and white, or rather red and white version of the cover, so just the line art on the opposite page. That's always really cool. And they do keep the chapter breaks, which I do think is very important. Anyway, we open up with the raid of the Nailbiter. So they're going into his house, and they're going to find him there with a dead body, biting the nails of the dead body, because that's what this killer does, is he kills you, and then he bites your nails. And then you can find the top, Buckaroo Butcher, number 16, because they're serial killers from the small town of Buckaroo. So they're the Buckaroo Butchers, and he's the very last one. Now, for the first chapter, they give it this really nice big intro card where you can see the heartbeat, and it's the heartbeat monitor, but then it turns into the onomatopoeia, the thump, and we can see our main character there is having a stressful moment. We find that he is about to kill himself. He's thinking about it when his phone rings, and we find out why a few pages later, and he's a master interrogator. However, one day during one of his interrogations, the guy he's interrogating dies, and he's currently on trial for, I guess it would be manslaughter. So, yeah, he is really torn up about this. But right as he's thinking about doing it, he gets a call from his friend and says, "I need you to come to Buckaroo." And his friend was one of the arresting officers who got the nail biter, but he's also the guy that brought to the public's attention the fact that Buckaroo, Oregon had 16 famous serial killers that were born there. Now, these are scattered throughout the decades, so a lot of them are dead, and that's why people didn't notice till now. But once he arrested the guy and once he pointed it out, it became a big news story. So he drives in, and he gets to the town, and one of the first things he sees is this murder store with killer deals, and you got a guy with a hockey mask, but it's different than Jason's hockey mask. There are a few Easter eggs and jokes in here. It's not too terribly heavy, but like he goes into the murder store, and one of the things he sees is these little army men, which I feel has to be a reference to, what was that Stephen King story, Battleground? Yeah, there's a few little Easter eggs, and one more Easter egg when he meets the owner of the shop. If you look closely, that is a Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force he's got in his hand there. So, by the Aqua Teen Hunger Force is good dumb fun. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Classic Adult Swim. But this guy, he's, making money off the murders, and he says, if the whole town's name is trash, we might as well make money off of it, and I'm the descendant of the very first Buckaroo Butcher. And you see it's this kid, he gets bullied for not ever learning how to read, and then he locks people in libraries and burns it down. And yeah, he does sell replicas of the mask in his shop. Now, just outside the shop, we get a character that isn't in the first volume terribly much, but I think she'll show up more later. You get a bunch of guys bullying this girl, and this girl, everybody makes a joke that she's going to be the next butcher eventually, but what is she really up to? And she'll poke around town. You don't get to know too much till the very end of the volume what she actually wants to do, but she defends herself pretty well against these guys. But of course our hero has to get in a few punches too. He has an anger problem, and I think he really just wanted to hit someone. But yeah, an anger problem. You were literally thinking about killing yourself earlier. He's a character with not much to lose. But anyway, the cop character comes in to break up the fight, and she, of course, does have a little bit to her backstory as well. She's a native from the town, and you'll find out that she, once upon a time, was actually friends with the Nailbiter, but that was a long time ago. But yeah, so she steps in to break up the fight, and then they go to his friend's room and find that he's missing, and it looks like the place has been ransacked. So of course, if he's missing, who are you going to talk to but the Nailbiter himself? Now, why is the Nailbiter out? It looks like even though public opinion has found him guilty, the jury has found him not guilty, so he's just living in town, and everybody, including the audience, is pretty sure that he's a serial killer. And one thing I do like that is pretty creative is in order to satisfy his urges, he slaughters his own cattle. So he's, finding the best way to mind his own business, but everybody thinks that he's up to something. Anyway, while they're gone, someone burns down the hotel, and the main character runs in to get a piece of his friend's notes, the important journal, but definitely most of the notes are gone, but he did get the journal. And there's a mysterious dead body in the fire. We'll have to figure out who he is later if you read the comic, but that is a pretty interesting reveal who the body is. But then, of course, a fire. Doesn't that fit the MO of the book burner? But he's supposed to have been dead for years and years and years. Like, he was the first one. He was the farthest back in time. He definitely should be dead. And I do like how we find out about the history of the few of the other killers. And like I said, a few of the other killers, we definitely don't get clear views on all 16. Deal that out slowly and let us find out about them over time. So yeah, that is pretty cool. I do love the history and the inventiveness behind discovering each of these killers. And as you go about, a few of the other killers might be back as well. There's a really fun scene. Let me flip to it really quick. Yeah, where they're in the morgue, and the morgue has a power problem, so the lights are flipping on and off, and there's the, what is he, the Y2K killer or something? I think that might have been the real name of, well, I don't remember his name, but this killer, he's got sort of a white version of the Scream costume, and he died in the year 2000. He killed as many people as he could before the ball dropped and then killed himself. That's a really interesting idea for the serial killer, but yeah, he is definitely dead, and he's one of the ones that is back as well. And we do find out a bunch of crazy, crazy fun stuff. There's the better view of that killer again. I do love his, blood red smile on his face and the very Scream-inspired cloak. But yeah, lots of pieces in play. Why are some of the old killers back? Is the Nailbiter really up to something? How much can we trust him? So a sort of reinvention of that Silence of the Lambs thing, and just finding out the little bits of history, the whole idea that the history is, developed enough that, even the public knowledge of, when the phenomenon came out, that it didn't come out until all the way at number 16, and that's when people finally noticed. And it's really just this big question is, why would this happen, Is it something in the water? Is someone or some group making it happen? Is it something natural, unnatural? And I really am curious, So I read this all pretty fast, and that's always a good judge of how good a graphic novel is. This one did hook me, and I kept wanting to keep reading it, and whenever anything distracted me, I'm always like, oh gosh, I want to get back to this. So yeah, this one really did hook me. I've already picked up Volume 2, and I can't wait to just blow through all these. I really hope that the rest of the series is as good as this one, because this one was really fun. Anyway, to everyone who's watched so far, thank you for watching. To everyone who's liked and subscribed, thank you. You really are helping the channel out. I'll leave a relevant playlist on the bottom. This should be my horror comics playlist. If you want to see about the other horror comics I've covered covered quite a few of them, and I'm sure you'll find something else you like there. Anyway, have a good day. I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Relevant playlist on the bottom. Have a good day now.